To the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs, located in the heart of the walkable Tarpon Springs Historic District and known as the home of the Innis paintings. We are a liberal community for all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. Hi, I'm the Reverend Kristina Spaude, minister here at UUCTS. Thank you for joining us. I hope you find meaning in today's service, and I invite you to drop in for a more personal visit to one of our coffee hours Sunday morning at 11 o'clock on Zoom. If you are new to the area or just learning about Unitarian Universalism, we'd love to meet you in one of our newcomer discussions, which are held on the second Sunday of every month at 12:15. Please refer to our website for information on how to connect with us on Zoom. Our service associate will begin the service shortly. Let us enter this sacred time now with open minds and open hearts.
Hello, my name is Jean Nelson, and I would like to thank you for being with us for this virtual service. We hope you will find peace to heal your spirit. And with Reverend Kristina's theme today of remembering our ancestors, may this history warm your thoughts. Please check our website at uutarpon.org to find the many virtual programs we have to share with our connections. Our service begins today with a chalice lighting with words from Kimberly Ann Tomzak Carlson. We are a people of memory. As inheritors of our ancestors' legacy, we hold their stories tenderly, gleaning wisdom from diverse journeys, united in hope for the future. Guide us to trust in love as we kindle this flame together.
Our story for today is called Water Bugs and Dragonflies. It may be known to you, but if not, it is a longtime favorite. And it is by Doris Stickney. Down below the surface of a quiet pond lived a little colony of water bugs. They were a happy colony living far away from the sun. For many months, they were very busy scurrying over the soft mud on the bottom of the pond. They did notice that every once in a while, one of their colonies seemed to lose interest in going about. Clinging to the stem of a pond lily, they gradually moved out of sight and were seen no more. "Look," said one of the water bugs to another, One of our colony is climbing up a lily stalk. Where do you think she's going? Up, up, up she slowly went. Even as they watched, the water bug disappeared from sight. Her friends waited and waited, but she didn't return. That's funny, said one water bug to another. Wasn't she happy here? Asked a second. Where do you suppose she went? Wondered a third. No one had an answer. They were greatly puzzled. Finally, one of the water bugs, a leader in the colony, gathered their friends together. I have an idea. The next one of us who climbs up the lily stalk must promise to come back and tell us where they went and why. We promise, they said solemnly. One spring day, not long after, the very water bug who had suggested the plan found himself climbing up the lily stalk. Up, up, up he went. Before he knew what was happening, he had broken through the surface of the water and fallen onto a broad, green lily pad above. When he awoke, he looked about with surprise. He couldn't believe what he saw. A startling change had come to his old body. His movement revealed 4 silver wings and a long tail. Even as he struggled, he felt an impulse to move his wings. The warmth of the sun soon dried the moisture from his new body. He moved his wings again and suddenly found himself up above the water. He had become a dragonfly. Swooping and dipping in great curves, he flew through the air. He felt exhilarated in the new atmosphere. By and by, the new dragonfly lighted happily on a lily pad to rest. Then it was that he chanced to look below, to the bottom of the lily pond. Why, he was right above his old friends, the water bugs. There they were, scurrying around, just as he had been doing some time before. The dragonfly remembered the promise. The next one of us who climbs up the lily stalk will come back and tell us where they went and why. Without thinking, the dragonfly darted down. Suddenly, he hit the surface of the water and bounced away. Now that he was a dragonfly, he could no longer go into the water. I can't return, he said in dismay. At least I tried, but I can't keep my promise. Even if I could go back, not one of the water bugs would know me in my new body. I guess I'll just have to wait until they become dragonflies too. Then they'll understand what has happened to me and where I went. And the dragonfly winged off happily into his new, wonderful world of sun and air.
Before the days of Jello lived a prehistoric fellow who loved a maid and courted her beneath a banyan tree. And they had lots of children, and their children all had children, and they kept on having children until one of them had me. We're a family
place of the traditional words of inspiration today, I'm actually going to offer a meditation and reflection. Autumn, which we are technically in now, is a long time celebrated, at least by some Europeans, magical time. The leaves turn and fall from the trees, brightening the sky first with their vibrance, a contrast against the common gray and overcast ceiling. Then they parachute quietly from the branches, dancing downward slowly, carried mysteriously by gravity and the unseen wind. They settle, then dance across the land, resettling and dancing some more. Here in Florida, it is different. The days are indeed getting shorter, but time is not marked by the same weather rhythms of those from colder climates. When the harvest is done and life slows further, the leaves make their journey from branch to ground as frost begins to tickle our noses with the air. Halloween, Samhain, and All Saints and All Souls Day still approach next weekend. And so even in the warmth and sunlight here, it feels time to me to set aside some time to remember. There are many reasons to remember, and telling our stories ensures that our ancestors continue to live on. If we were gathered in person, we would be doing a ritual right now. But as we are not, I'm going to invite you in this moment to think of those who have gone before us beyond the veil, who have climbed the lily stalk and gone to the other side, who have joined the ancestors. Bring them to mind, those you have loved and brought you comfort. Think about what it was like to be with them, to feel them. Think about where they are, the familiar smells. Maybe grandma loved to make blueberry pie, or grandpa was always out taking care of the lawn and letting you ride on the tractor with him. Maybe you have memories of stories further back or more recently in your lines. Remember those you have loved. These words are adapted from Reverend Christine Robinson. As we recall them now, the dear companions who once graced our lives, loved ones whom we miss, persons whose lives made an impact on ours, of all those who were once here, contributing, caring, and are now gone. Our memories bring both joy and sadness. Let us not push these feelings away, for our recollections attest to the enduring importance of our family and friends, this love, our memories. The sadness is a reflection of love that we may no longer feel is reciprocated by those who have held a piece of our hearts. May these brave and lovely spirits again live in our tender thoughts and prove that death and distance are powerless to sever the bonds that connect truly loving hearts. A prayer. Spirit of life, whom we know best through the acts of our own loving and being loved, hold us as we remember those we have loved and those who have loved us. May our gratitude sparkle in our lives. May our tears lubricate our souls. Help us to know that we are not alone in our grieving, and help us also to come to that place of peace in which we can take what we learned from those who have gone before us into our own lives. Remind us that we too are mortal, and that the only enduring legacy we leave is the love that shines through our lives. May it be so.
It's time for the offering for the work and the welfare of this church. Please go to our website, uutarpon.org, and click on the donate button. Or please send your checks to 57 Reed Street. The entire address is right there on your screen. And thank you.
Grandma's hands clapped in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hands played the tambourine so well. Grandma's hands used to issue out a warning.
Volkswagens, especially manual transmissions, Snapdragons, the way my hair smells. The word tremendous, which is wildly underused. A passion for how we make justice happen in the world. People who don't think the way that we do. Scotland, how things work. Unexpected tendernesses. Repeated and frustrating attempts at connection driven by love, but spoken often in complaints. Canoeing, caring for creatures and plants of the world. These are some of the many things that I learned to love or appreciate from my grandparents. Like many people, my relationships with my grandparents and others have varied a lot. I had my favorites, although now I am more clearly able to appreciate how each supported and formed me and how much I learned from each of them. It certainly wasn't all rainbows and unicorns, but there is a lot to be thankful for from them. And as I move through the world, I find connections at times to them that make them not only present in my mind, but in my life. When I can smell the fragrance of my hair, I remember how my grandmother would always take a deep inhale at that first hug on arrival and tell me how good my hair smelled and how good it was to see me. She had a way of making sure to look me in the face as she said that, and to hold my upper arms. My grandfather was a statistician and engineer who learned enough French to pass proficiency tests by running statistical analyses of the most common nouns and verbs and learning them just enough this way so that he could continue the rest of his education. He would sit and grin, arms crossed, and marvel at my language and translation studies. It was just such a different world than the one that he knew and experienced. And I know he'd be just as proud and fascinated by the work that I do now, which would be equally mysterious to his mind. I know plenty well from my own experiences and those of many others that have been shared with me that families are complicated and not everyone has good memories of their people. But I do trust that there have been people in everyone's lives who have held and loved them, figuratively or literally, into who they are, who taught them how to care or to wonder at the world. If you are on a healing journey from family history or not, I invite you now through this service to hold in your hearts and minds those whose lives and loves have strengthened you. American culture writ large is generally not great about acknowledging and dealing with death and dying. From a young age, though, I had a clear sense of what it meant to die that didn't resolve until I was in my late 20s. This came only after a near-death experience of sorts, and I was aware, immediately following the event, of a sense of deep peacefulness. A couple of years later, an uncle of mine died, and I became aware of hospice. Between those events, I became rather passionate about death and the dying process, which was one of the earliest forays I had into something that looked like ministry. Death, I learned, is a sacred life passage and something that should be treated with gentleness and devotion. One of my fears associated with dying was the fear of being forgotten. This came in large part out of both familial and general culture, but has been healed some as I have learned over the years to tell stories, to carry them with me, and to name the role of my ancestors in my continuing work in the world. Remembering and that awareness that I am part of a great web of care that extends through time keeps me grounded and assured that I am never alone. And as fiction writer Elizabeth Hunter has said, we are all immortal as long as our stories are told. Naming the roles of our ancestors that they have played in our lives and in our history in general is a practice I first experienced in groups working towards social justice, in particular racial justice. At first, I didn't really understand the value in it, but as time has gone on, I've learned. It speaks to me as a practice that keeps me connected, a practice that is even more helpful during this pandemic, when we are often physically separated, but doing the best we can virtually. Joan Pulse, OSF, has written, I have never forgotten a lesson a Buddhist once voiced. When you walk, be aware of those who have walked alongside you, behind you, before you, of those whose efforts you now stand upon. We are surrounded, says the author of Hebrews, by a cloud of witnesses. A cloud of witnesses, those who have loved me into being, who have supported me, celebrated me, carried me. Ancestors and those to whom I may be an ancestor alike someday. They all make this cloud, and they are all with me as I move through the world. Family, kinship, community, these bonds of love are never broken. And occasionally I feel in my core how their memories and their dreams are very much alive in me. As a student of history, it also helps remind me that the work I do is not only mine to do, nor am I moving into it and starting a movement. This isn't the riverhead, it's well down the flow. Many people before me have committed to the work I engage in now and have brought us all to this place where I can try to move us further forward. And when times are difficult, as they are now, acknowledging the lives and work of our ancestors helps me remember that though the work is mine to do, it is not mine alone. This is work we must continue to do for generations yet to come. And others have lived and survived through hard times, and I look to channel their wisdom, strength, and resilience in my own life when it's needed. The web of connection holding me, holding you, holding us all is far wider than we may know. And it is for this reason that we are doing this service now. A service on remembering the ancestors may seem frivolous to some at this time, as the US is descending further into chaos and fascism. And perhaps it is. But we have come to a place in time where if we stopped everything that we had planned anytime a new disaster emerged, we would be untethered to this world, to ourselves, to each other. And we are not beating that fear. We are tired and weary, I know. We have been isolating for months. We humans are wired for connection, wired for touch, to gaze into each other's eyes, to feel the warmth of someone's hand in ours. And you may have heard me say before that human beings are meaning-seeking, meaning-making, storytelling creatures. And as such, we use rituals and remembrances as ways and times to retell the stories that matter, that keep us strong, and remind us of what's really important. As the US has been further descending into chaos, and in my own professional experiences in 2020, I have been so very aware that the world my grandmothers raised me in does not yet actually exist. They were visionaries and believed in the progress that had been made in their lifetimes. I find it infuriating now to find that they were betrayed, and by extension, so have I. I know my grandmothers would be as angered as I am. And so to whom do I turn when I wonder about confronting this and other evils in this world? They are gone. I am surrounded by friends and family and more colleagues than I could count. But I also think of them, recognizing that the progress they had worked for in their lifetimes has either not been as successful as it had seemed or has been undone by those who are afraid. I call into my mind and my heart in these times, my grandmothers, their passion for caring and justice, the ways they taught me that I can do and be whatever I want. I remember their strength as they worked through personal and other challenges in their lives, how they chose for their paths to unfold and declined to accept no where yes would do. The truth is, I need them now as much as I ever did. In honoring them, I connect my life with theirs. In remembering them, I honor their legacies, their work, and their lives. It brings my cloud of witnesses closer to me. Those we have been in relationship with, they are our witnesses. Their witness is their continued love for us and our continued love for them. And this is as it should be. Their wisdom and humor, and most especially their love, live within me as your beloveds live in you. This helps us to remember who we are and who we most want to be. It reminds me that I am not alone, nor are you. We are held in a love beyond belief. Their love helps us orient ourselves in the world to the direction we're moving in at whatever speed. Remembering them too keeps their memories and their stories, our memories and our stories, alive. Our memories and stories give us our roots, helping keep us anchored to what is important and most valuable to us. Remembering those who have died helps us know in our bones that we too are fragile, that we too depend on others, and that ultimately and always we need each other. When we forget how the cycle of life begins and ends, we can easily be led astray from what is meaningful and brings us life. Retired Episcopal Bishop and Choctaw Nation Elder Stephen Charleston has written, "Long ago, my people practiced communal burial. We thought it would be a lonely thing to bury a person alone. So we gathered the bones of our loved ones and buried them together. In this way, the bonds of love were unbroken. A person was never outside of community. We were born in community, lived in community, and not even death could remove us from our community. Family was the strength of the people, the sacred way of life. Kinship continued forever. This time of year, I always remember that. Those we love are never lost to us. They are here now, living their lives in a new way. The bonds of love are unbroken. When we practice remembering, the bonds of love are indeed unbroken and full of life for us, them, and the future we dream about. May we draw strength to carry us forward through our days by holding and carrying our memories.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're singers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
Our closing words come from Jean Harrison Newyar in The Gift of Faith she has written. In the lore of ancient China, there is a story of a philosopher who was asked, "Where is the road called hope?" He replied, "It does not exist, but as people move forward upon it, it comes into being." I invite you to continue journeying forward on this road with me.
Go now in peace.
I hope you found meaning in today's service. Please join our coffee hour any Sunday at 11 o'clock for friendly conversation. Again, if you are new to the area or just learning about Unitarian Universalism, we'd love to meet you in one of our newcomer discussions held on the second Sunday of every month at 12:15. Please refer to our website for more information on how you can connect with us on Zoom. Blessings.